So,
The following is a free-for-download audiobook available on Google Drive. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 30, The Gopis' Search for Krishna. This chapter describes how the gopis, tormented through the long night by separation from Krishna, wandered like madwomen from forest to forest in search of him. When Sri Krishna suddenly disappeared from the arena of the rasa dance, the gopis, their minds fully absorbed in thoughts of him, began looking for him in the various forests. From all the moving and non-moving creatures, they asked for news about Krishna's whereabouts. Finally, they became so distraught that they began imitating his pastimes. Later, while wandering in the corner of the forest, the gopis saw Sri Krishna's footprints, which apparently mixed with Srimati Radharani's. Seeing these footprints perturbed them greatly, and they declared that surely Srimati Radharani must have worshipped Krishna with unusual excellence, since she had been privileged to associate with him in seclusion. Further along the path, the gopis came to a place where they could no longer see Srimati Radharani's footprints. They then concluded that Krishna must have taken Radharani onto his shoulders. In another place, they noticed that Krishna's footprints were showing only the toes, and thus the gopis concluded that he had been picking flowers with which to decorate his beloved. In yet another spot, the gopis saw signs that led them to imagine that Sri Krishna had been tying the locks of Srimati Radharani's hair. All these thoughts brought pain to the gopis' minds. Because of the special attention she received from Krishna, Sri Radha began to consider herself the most fortunate of women. She told him that she could no longer walk further and that he would have to carry her on his shoulders. But just then, Lord Krishna disappeared from her sight. Srimati Radharani, extremely troubled, then began looking everywhere for him, and then she finally met her gopi girlfriends. She related to them what had happened. All the gopis then went to look for Krishna in the forest, going as far as the moonlight reached. But in the end, they were unsuccessful, so they went back to the shore of the Yamuna and simply sang Krishna's glories in utter helplessness. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, When Lord Krishna disappeared so suddenly, the gopis felt great sorrow at losing sight of him, like a group of female elephants who had lost their mate. Text 2. As the cowherd women remembered Lord Krishna, their hearts were overwhelmed by his movements and loving smiles, his playful glances and enchanting talks, and by the many other pastimes he would enjoy with them. Thus absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, the Lord of Ram, the gopis began acting out his various transcendental pastimes. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the following charming exchange between Krishna and the gopis. Quote, Krishna said to the gopis, quote, "My dear land lily, are you going to offer your honey to this very thirsty honeybee or not?" End quote. The gopi replied, quote, "My dear bee, the husband of the lilies is the sun, not the bee, so why are you claiming that my honey belongs to you?" End quote. Quote, "But my dear lily, the very nature of you lilies is that you don't give your honey to your husband, the sun, but rather to your paramour, the bee." End quote. The gopi, defeated by the words of Krishna, laughed and then gave him her lips as honey to drink. End quote. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also describes the following conversation. Krishna said to a gopi, quote, I can understand that as you approached this nipa tree standing here, you were bitten by an audacious snake. Its venom has already reached your chest, but since you are a respectable maiden, you haven't asked me to cure you. Still, I've come, being merciful by nature. Now, while I massage your body with my hands, I'll chant a mantra to counteract the serpent's poison." End quote. The gopi said, quote, "But my dear snake charmer, no snake has bitten me. Go massage the body of some girl who has actually suffered a snake bite." End quote. Quote, "Come now, my dear respectable girl. From your trembling voice, I can tell that you are experiencing a feverish reaction to poisoning. Knowing this, if I don't take care of you, I'll be guilty of killing an innocent woman. So let me treat you." With this, Krishna applied his fingernails to the gopi's chest. End quote. Text 3. Because the beloved gopis were absorbed in thoughts of their beloved Krishna, their bodies imitated his way of moving and smiling, his way of beholding him, his speech, and his other distinctive features. Deeply immersed in thinking of him and maddened by remembering his pastimes, they declared to one another, quote, "I am Krishna." End quote. Purport. Spontaneously, the gopis began moving like Krishna. They smiled as he would smile, glanced boldly as he would, and spoke as he would. The gopis were completely absorbed in the existence of Krishna and mad with love at their sudden separation from him, and thus their dedication to him attained absolute perfection. Text 4. Singing loudly of Krishna, they searched for him throughout the Vrindavan forest like a band of mad women. They even asked the trees about him, who, as the Supersoul, is present inside and outside of all created things, just like the sky. Purport. Lost in their madness of love for Krishna, the gopis inquired about him even from the trees of Vrindavan. Of course, there is no actual separation from Lord Krishna, since he is the all-pervading Supersoul. Text 5. The gopi said, "O Ashwatha tree, O Plaksha, O Nyagroda, have you seen Krishna? That son of Nanda Maharaj has gone away after stealing our minds with his loving smiles and glances." Text 6. O Kurabaka tree, O Ashoka, O Naga, O Panaga, and O Champaka, has Balaram's younger brother, whose smile removes the audacity of all proud women, passed this way? Purport. As soon as the gopis saw that a particular tree would not answer them, they impatiently left it and rushed off to another to make further inquiries. Text 7. O most kind Tulsi, to whom the feet of Govinda are so dear, have you seen that infallible one walk by, wearing you and encircled by swarms of bees? Purport. The Acharyas explain here that the word charana is a term of respect, and in the expression evam vedanti acharya charana, the bees humming around the garland warned by Sri Govinda were attracted by the fragrance of the tulsi manjaris offered to him. The gopis felt that the trees had not replied because they were male, but that Tulsi, being female, would sympathize with their plight. Text 8. O Malati, O Malika, O Jati, and Utika, has Madhava gone by here giving you pleasure with a touch of his hand? Purport. When even Tulsi herself did not answer the gopis, they approached the fragrant jasmine flowers. The gopis, seeing the jasmine vines humbly bowing down, assumed that these plants must have seen Lord Krishna and were therefore showing humility in their ecstasy. Text 9. O Chuta, O Priyala, O Panasa, Asana, and Govidara, O Jambu, O Arka, O Bilva, O Bukula, and Amra, O Kadamba, and Nipa, and all of you other plants and trees living by the banks of the Yamuna, who have dedicated your very existence to the welfare of others. We gopis have lost our minds, so please tell us where Krishna has gone. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Chuta is a mango creeper, whereas the Amra is a mango tree. He goes on to explain that the Nipa, though not a very prominent tree, bears large flowers, and that the gopis' desperation to find Krishna is clearly shown by the fact that they approached the insignificant Arka plant. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives the following information about Vrindavan's trees. Quote, the Nipa is the dust kadamba, and it has large flowers. The kadamba proper has smaller flowers and a very pleasant fragrance. The kovidara is a kind of kancharana, mountain ebony tree. Even though the Arka plant is very insignificant, it always grows near Lord Gopishwar, the Shiva deity in Vrindavan forest, because it is dear to him. Text 10. O Mother Earth, what austerity did you perform to attain the touch of Lord Keshava's lotus feet, which has brought you such great joy that your bodily hairs are standing on end? You appear very beautiful in this condition. Was it during the Lord's current appearance that you acquired this ecstatic symptom, or was it perhaps much earlier, when he stepped upon you in the form of the dwarf Vamana, or even earlier, when he embraced you in his form of Lord Boar Varahadev? Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains the thoughts of the gopis as follows. Quote, perhaps the trees and plants mentioned in the previous verses did not hear our question because they were in trance meditating on Lord Vishnu, or perhaps since they will not tell us where Krishna has gone, they are hard-hearted even though they live in a holy place. Anyway, what is the use of unnecessarily criticizing the residents of a holy place? If they cannot tell, we cannot tell if they really know where Krishna has gone, so let us find someone who definitely knows where he is. Thus the gopis concluded that since Lord Krishna had to be somewhere on the earth herself must know about his whereabouts. The gopis thought, since Krishna always walks on the earth, she is never separated from him and thus cannot understand how much his parents, girlfriends, and servants suffer in his absence. Let us ask her what austerities she has performed to gain the great fortune of being constantly touched by the feet of Lord Keshava. Text 11. O friend, wife of the deer, has Lord Achyuta been here with his beloved, bringing great joy to your eyes? Indeed, blowing this way is the fragrance of his garland of kunda flowers, which was smeared with the kumkum from the breasts of his girlfriend when he embraced her. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti provides the following charming commentary on this verse. the gopis spoke to the doe, quote, "O friend, wife of the deer, from the bliss in your clear eyes, we can see that Sri Krishna has expanded your joy with the beauty of his limbs, his face, and so forth. You are eager to realize the ecstasy of seeing Krishna, and thus your eyes are following him. In fact, he is never lost to you." End quote. Then the gopis, seeing the doe continue to walk in her natural way, exclaimed, quote, "Oh, are you telling us that you have seen Krishna? Look, as this deer walks, she constantly turns her head back to us as if to say, quote, 'I will show him to you. Just follow me and I will show you Krishna.'" End quote. In this merciless Vrindavan, she is the only merciful person. End quote. As the gopis follow the deer, they happen to lose sight of her, and they cry out, quote, "Oh, why can't we see the deer who is showing us the way to Krishna?" End quote. One gopi suggests that Krishna must be somewhere in the vicinity, and that the deer, being afraid of him, must have hidden herself to avoid the possible mistake of revealing his presence. Conjecturing in this way, the gopis detect a fragrance that has by chance blown their way, and they repeatedly declare with great joy, quote, "Yes, yes, this is it. By Krishna's physical contact with his girlfriend, this jasmine garland was smeared with the kumkum powder on her breasts, and the fragrances of all these things are reaching us." Thus the gopis smelled the aroma of the two lovers' bodies, of Krishna's jasmine garland, and of the cosmetic powder on the breasts of his lover. Text 12. "O trees, we see that you are bowing down. When the younger brother Ram walked by here, followed by intoxicated bees swarming about the tulsi manjaris decorating his garland, did he acknowledge your obeisances with his affectionate glances? He must have been resting his arm on the shoulder of his beloved and carrying a lotus flower in his free hand." Purport. The gopis saw that the trees, bent over with abundant fruits and flowers, were offering obeisances to Lord Krishna. The gopis supposed Krishna must have recently passed that way, since the trees were still bowing down. Because Sri Krishna had left the gopis to go with his favorite consort, they were jealous and thus imagined that he had become fatigued from his loving affairs and was resting his left arm on the soft shoulder of his beloved. The gopis further imagined that Krishna must have been carrying a blue lotus in his right hand to drive away the bees eagerly trying to attack his beloved's face after smelling its aroma. The scene was so beautiful, the gopis imagined, that the maddened bees had left the tulsi garden to follow the two lovers. Text 13. Let us ask these creepers about Krishna. Even though they are embracing the arms of their husband, this tree, they certainly must have been touched by Krishna's fingernails, since out of joy they are manifesting eruptions on their skin. Purport. The gopis reasoned that the trees would not show signs of rapture merely by physical contact with their husband, a tree. Thus the gopis concluded that although the creepers were embracing the strong limbs of their husband, they must have been touched by Lord Krishna as he moved through the forest. Text 14. Having spoken these words, the gopis, distraught from searching for Krishna, began to act out his various pastimes, fully absorbed in thoughts of him. Text 15. One gopi imitated Putana, while another acted like infant Krishna and pretended to suck her breast. Another gopi, crying in imitation of infant Krishna, kicked a gopi who was taking the role of the cart demon Shakatashura. Text 16. One gopi took the role of Trinavarta, who carried away another who was acting like infant Krishna, while yet another gopi crawled about, her ankle bells tinkling as she pulled her feet. Purport. The gopis started imitating all of Sri Krishna's pastimes, beginning from his earliest activities as a baby. Text 17. Two gopis acted like Ram and Krishna in the midst of several others who took the role of cowherd boys. One gopi enacted Krishna's killing of the demon Ratasura, who were represented by another gopi, and a pair of gopis acted out the killing of Bakasura. Text 18. When one gopi perfectly imitated how Krishna would call the cows who had wandered far away, how he would play his flute, and how he would engage in various sports, the others congratulated her with exclamations of, quote, well done, end quote. Text 19. Another gopi, her mind fixed on Krishna, walked about with her arm resting on the shoulder of her friend and declared, quote, I am Krishna, just see how gracefully I move, end quote. Text 20. Don't be afraid of the rain and wind, said one gopi. I will save you. And with that she lifted her shawl above her head. Purport. Here a gopi enacts Lord Krishna's pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill. Text 21. Shukadeva Goswami continued, O king, one gopi climbed on another's shoulders and putting her foot on the other's head said, Go away from here, you, O wicked snake. You should know that I have taken birth in this world just to punish the envious. Purport. Here the gopis enact Krishna's chastisement of Kaliya. Text 22. Another gopi spoke up, My dear cowherd boys, look at this raging forest fire. Quickly close your eyes and I will easily protect you. Text 23. One gopi tied up her slender companion with a flower garland and said, quote, Now I will bind this boy who has broken the butter pots and stole the butter, end quote. The second gopi then covered her face and beautiful eyes, pretending to be afraid. Text 24. While the gopis were thus imitating Krishna's pastimes and asking Vrindavan creepers and trees where Krishna, the Supreme Soul, might be, they happened to see his footprints in a corner of the forest. Text 25. The gopis said, The marks of the flag, lotus, thunderbolt, elephant gold, barleycorn, and so forth on these footprints clearly distinguished them as belonging to that great soul, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, gives the following scriptural information about the symbolic markings on the lotus feet of Krishna. Quote, In the following verses, the Skanda Purana states the particular places on his feet where Krishna carries the mark of the flag and also other marks, and the reasons for these marks. Dakshinasya Padgangushta Mule Chakram Bibhartyaja Tatra Bhakta Janashyari Sadvarga Che Danayasha. At the base of the large toe on his right foot, the unborn Lord carries the mark of a disc which cuts down the 6 mental enemies of his devotees. Madhya Manguli Malecha Date Kamalam Achyuta Dhyatri Chitta Drive Panam Lobhana Yati Sobhanam. At the bottom of the middle toe of that same foot, Lord Achyuta has a lotus flower, which increases the greed for him in the minds of the bee-like devotees who meditate on his feet. Kanishta Mulato Vajram Bhakta Pabhatri Bedanam Parshni Madhye Nikusham Bhakta Viteba Vashakarinam. At the base of his small toe is a thunderbolt, which smashes the mountains of his devotees' reactions to past sins, and in the middle of his heel is the mark of an elephant goad, which brings the elephants of his devotees' minds under control. Boga Sampan Maya Date Yavam Angushta Parvani. The joint of his right large toe bears the mark of a barleycorn, representing all kinds of enjoyable opulences. The Skanda Purana also states, Vajram vai dikshane parshve ankusho vai tad agrata. A thunderbolt is found on the right side of his right foot and an elephant goad below that. The Acharyas of the Vaishnava Sampradayas explained that since the particular feet under discussion are Lord Krishna's, we should know that the thunderbolt is at the base of his small toe and the elephant goad below the thunderbolt. The elephant goad on the heel belongs rather to Lord Narayan and other Vishnu Tattva expansions. Thus, the Skanda Purana describes 6 marks on Krishna's right toe: the disc, flag, lotus, thunderbolt, elephant goad, and barleycorn. And the Vaishnava Toshni mentions even more marks, a vertical line beginning at the middle of his foot and continuing as far as the juncture between his big toe and second toe, an umbrella below the disc at the base of the middle of his foot, a group of 4 swastikas in the 4 cardinal directions at the 4 points where each swastika meets the next 4 rose apples, and in the middle of the swastikas an octagon. This makes 11 marks on Krishna's right foot. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes the marks on Krishna's left foot as follows, quote, "At the base of the large toe is a conch shell with its mouth facing the toe. At the base of the middle toe are 2 concentric circles representing the inner and outer sky. Below this mark is Cupid's unstrung bow. At the base of the bow is a triangle, and surrounding the triangle is a group of 4 water pots. At the base of the triangle is a half moon with 2 more triangles touching its points, and below the half moon is a fish." Altogether, then, there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Krishna's lotus feet. Text 26. The gopis began following Krishna's path as shown by his many footprints, but when they saw that these prints were thoroughly intermixed with those of his dearmost consort, they became perturbed and spoke as follows. Text 27. The gopis said, "Here we see the footprints of some gopi who must have been walking along with the son of Nanda Maharaj. He must have put his arm on her shoulder, just as an elephant rests his trunk on the shoulder of an accompanying she-elephant." Text 28. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word Aradita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, "The sage Shukadev Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy, and thus the word Aradita is like the rumbling of a kettle drum sounded to announce her great good fortune." End quote. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radharani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Sri Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the following detailed description of Srimati Radharani's footprints as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Sri Ujjvala Nilamani. Quote, "At the base of the large toe of her left foot is the mark of a barleycorn, and below that mark is a disc, and below the disc is an umbrella, and below the umbrella is a bracelet. A vertical line extends from the middle of her foot to the juncture of her large and second toes. At the base of the middle toe is a lotus, below that is a flag with a banner, and below the flag is a creeper together with a flower. At the base of her small toe is an elephant goad, and upon her heel is a half moon. Thus there are 11 marks on her left foot. At the base of the large toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that a spear. At the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar, below that an earring, and below the earring a club. Along the base of the second, third, fourth, and small toes is the mark of a mountain, below which is a chariot, and on the heel is a fish. Thus, altogether, there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Text 29. O girls, the dust of Govinda's lotus feet is so sacred that even Brahma, Shiva, and the goddess Rama take that dust upon their heads to dispel sinful reactions. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, who quotes from Shastra, each day in the late afternoon, as Krishna returned from the cow pastures with his cowherd boyfriends, great demigods like Brahma and Shiva would come down from heaven to take the dust of his feet. Great personalities like the goddess Rama, the wife of Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, are not at all sinful, but in the ecstasy of pure Krishna consciousness they feel themselves fallen and impure. Thus, desiring to purify themselves, they blissfully take the dust of the Lord's lotus feet on their heads. Text 30. These footprints of that special gopi greatly disturb us. Of all the gopis, she alone was taken away to a secluded place where she is enjoying the lips of Krishna. Look, we can't see her footprints over here. It's obvious that the grass and sprouts were hurting the tender soles of her feet, and so the lover lifted up his beloved. Text 31. Please observe, my dear gopis, how in this place lusty Krishna's footprints are pressed more deeply into the ground. Carrying the weight of his beloved must have been difficult for him. And over here, that intelligent boy must have put her down to gather some flowers. Purport. The word vadum indicates that even though Sri Krishna was not officially married to Radharani, he had in fact made her his bride in the Vrindavan forest. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the gopis use the word kamina here to indicate the following thoughts. Quote, we actually love Sri Krishna, but still he has rejected us. Therefore, his private dealings with Radharani prove that this young prince of Vraja has carried her away because of lust. If he were interested in love, he would have accepted us instead of that cowherd girl Radharani. End quote. These thoughts reveal the mood of the gopis who are rivals of Srimati Radharani. Of course, the gopis who are her direct allies were jubilant to see her good fortune. Text 32.
Yes.
Just see how in this place dear Krishna collected flowers for his beloved. Here he has left the impression of only the front part of his feet because he was standing on his toes to reach the flowers. Text 33. Certainly Krishna sat down here with his girlfriend to arrange her hair. The lusty boy must have made a crown for that lusty girl out of the flowers he had collected. Purport. The Acharyas explained that Sri Krishna wanted to decorate Radharani's hair with the forest flowers he had collected. Therefore they sat down together facing in the same direction with Radharani between Krishna's knees, and Krishna proceeded to arrange her hair with flowers and make a flower crown for her, coronating her as the goddess of the forest. Thus the romantic young boy and girl played and joked together in Vrindavan. Text 34. Shukadeva Goswami continued, Lord Krishna enjoyed with that gopi, although he enjoys only within, being self-satisfied and complete within himself. Thus, by contrast, he showed the wretchedness of ordinary lusty men and hard-hearted women. Purport. This verse directly refutes the superficial criticism of materialistic people sometimes direct against Lord Krishna's pastimes. The philosopher Aristotle claimed that ordinary activities are unworthy of God, and with this idea in mind, some people declare that since the activities of Lord Krishna resemble those of ordinary human beings, he cannot be the absolute truth. But in this verse, Shukadeva Goswami emphatically points out that Lord Krishna acts on the liberated platform of spiritual self-satisfaction. This fact is indicated here by the terms Atmarata, Atmaram, and Akandita. It is inconceivable to ordinary people that a handsome young boy and a beautiful young girl enjoying romantic conjugal affairs in the forest moonlight can be engaged in pure activity free from egoistic desire and lust. Yet, while Lord Krishna is inconceivable to ordinary persons, those who love him can easily realize the absolute pure nature of his activities. One may argue that, quote, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, end quote, and that therefore the devotees of Krishna are only imagining the Lord's activities to be pure. This argument ignores many significant facts. For one, the path of Krishna consciousness, of developed love for Krishna, demands that a devotee strictly follow 4 regulative principles: no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no eating of meat, fish, or eggs. When one is freed from material lust and rises to the liberated platform beyond material desires, one realizes the absolute beauty of Lord Krishna. This process is not theoretical. It has been practiced and completed by many thousands of great sages who have left us their shining example and their brilliant teachings concerning the path of Krishna consciousness. Certainly, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However, real beauty is perceived by the soul's eye and not by the lusty eye of the material body. Therefore, the Vedic literature repeatedly stresses that only those freed from material desire can see the beauty of Lord Krishna with the eye of the pure soul, anointed with love of Godhead. It may finally be noted that upon realizing the pastimes of Lord Krishna, one becomes free from all tinges of sex desire, a state of mind that can hardly result from meditating upon material sexual affairs. One final note. The conjugal pastimes of Krishna perfectly round out his qualification as the supreme absolute truth. The Vedanta states that the absolute truth is the source of everything. So certainly, the absolute cannot lack any of the beautiful things of this world. It is only because romantic affairs exist in a pure spiritual form in the absolute that they can be manifest in a perverted material form in this world. Thus, the apparent beauty of this world is not to be absolutely rejected. Rather, beauty should be accepted in its pure spiritual form. Since the beginning of time, men and women have been inspired to poetic rapture by the art of romance. Unfortunately, romance in this world usually leads to crushing disappointment brought about by a change of heart or by death. Thus, although we may at first find romantic affairs beautiful and enjoyable, they're eventually spoiled by the onslaught of material nature. Still, it is unreasonable to totally reject the concept of romance. Rather, we should accept conjugal attraction in its absolute, perfect, pure form as it exists within God without a tinge of material lust or selfishness. That pure conjugal attraction, the supreme beauty and pleasure of the supreme truth, is what we are reading about here in the past pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 35 and 36. As the gopis wandered about, their minds completely bewildered, they pointed out various signs of Krishna's pastimes. The particular gopi whom Krishna had led into a secluded forest when he had abandoned all the other young girls began to think herself the best of women. Quote, "My beloved has rejected all the other gopis," end quote, she thought. Quote, "Even though they're driven by Cupid himself, he has chosen to reciprocate with me alone." End quote. Purport. Previously, all the gopis had become proud of their association with Krishna and then suddenly lost his association. Only Radharani remained with them. Now she had also become proud of that association and will suffer a similar fate. The Lord arranges all this to reveal the gopis' unparalleled devotion for him, a devotion whose intensity fully manifests in moments of separation. Text 37. As the two lovers passed through one part of the Vrindavan forest, the special gopi began feeling proud of herself. She told Lord Keshava, quote, "I cannot walk any further. Please carry me wherever you want to go." End quote. Text 38. Thus addressed, Lord Krishna replied, quote, "Just climb on my shoulder." End quote. But as soon as he said this, he disappeared. His beloved consort then immediately felt great remorse. Purport. Srimati Radharani was exhibiting the pride of a beautiful girl who has brought her boyfriend under control. Thus, she told Krishna, quote, "Please carry me wherever you want to go. I can't walk anymore." End quote. Shri Krishna now disappears from her sight. intensifying her ecstatic love more and more. Text 39. She cried out, "O Master, my lover, O dearmost, where are you? Where are you? Please, O mighty armed one, O friend, show yourself to me, your poor servant." Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the following moving exchange. Quote, Radha says, quote, "My Lord, I am being burned in the great fire of separation from you. My life air is about to leave my body. Even with the greatest endeavor, I cannot maintain my life. You are the Lord of my life, and so you can quickly save me simply by glancing upon me. Please do so immediately. I beg you to save my life, not for my sake, but rather for yours. After giving up all the other gopis, you brought me so far to a secluded place in the forest just to enjoy special pleasure with me. If I die, you will not be able to find conjugal happiness anywhere else. You will remember me and thus lament in your sorrow." End quote. Krishna replies, "So let me become unhappy. What does that matter to you?" Quote, "But you are most dear to me. I will feel your unhappiness millions of times more than you. Even if I've already died, I still will not be able to tolerate the pain that even one spot on the nails of your lotus feet may experience. Indeed, to prevent such pain, I am ready to throw my life away millions and millions of times. So kindly show yourself and drive away that unhappiness." End quote. "But your life air is on the verge of leaving your body. What can I do to stop that?" Quote, "Simply by the touch of your arms, which are a medicinal herb with the power to revive the dead, my body will return to its healthy, normal condition, and my life air will automatically come back and remain in my body." Quote, "But you know the forest path yourself without my help. So why did you order me, the king's son and very young and gentle boy who is to be respected? Why did you command, quote, 'Take me wherever you wish'? Why do you anger me like this?" End quote. Radha cries out, "Please show yourself to your wretched maidservant. Be merciful to me. Be merciful. When I ordered you, I was overcome by sleepiness. I was so tired from playing with you. Therefore, please excuse what your poor servant said. Please don't be angry. It is only because you treated me like such a close friend, I thought, though I am unworthy, that I spoke to you like that." Quote, "All right, my love. I am very pleased with you, so please come to me. But I've been blinded by lamentation. I can't see where you are. Please tell me where you are." Text 40. Shukadeva Goswami said, "While continuing to search out Krishna's path, the gopis discovered their unhappy friend close by. She was bewildered by separation from her lover." Text 41. She told them how Madhava had given her much respect, but how she then suffered dishonor because of her misbehavior. The gopis were extremely amazed to hear this. Purport. It was natural for Radharani to ask Krishna to carry her, for this request was consistent with the loving mood of their relationship. Now, however, in great humility, she describes her behavior as wicked. Hearing of these affairs, the gopis are astonished. Text 42. In search of Krishna, the gopis then entered the depths of the forest as far as the light of the moon shone, but when they found themselves engulfed in darkness, they decided to turn back. Purport. The gopis entered a part of the forest so dense that even the light of the full moon couldn't penetrate it. This scene is also described in the Vishnu Purana. Pravishto gahanam Krishna param atra nalaksyate nirvatadvam shashankashya naitad dititi gochara. Quote, one gopi said, quote, "Krishna has entered such a dark spot of the part of the forest that we cannot possibly see his footprints. Therefore let us turn back from this area, which even the light of the moon cannot reach." End quote. Text 43. Their minds absorbed in thoughts of him, they conversed about him, acted out his pastimes, and felt themselves filled with his presence. They completely forgot about their homes as they loudly sang the glories of Krishna's transcendental qualities. Purport. Actually, there is no separation from Krishna for the pure devotees of the Lord. Although apparently abandoned by Krishna, the gopis were actually tightly connected with him by the spiritual process of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Text 44. The gopis again came to the bank of the Kalindi, meditating on Krishna and eagerly hoping he would come. They sat down together to sing of him. Report. As stated in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.23, Yam evaisha vrinute tena labhya. Quote, the super soul can be realized by that person whom he chooses. End quote. Thus the gopis fervently prayed that Krishna come back to them. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 30th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Gopis' Search for Krishna. The following is a free-for-download audiobook available on Google Drive. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, The Gopis' Songs of Separation. This chapter relates how the gopis, overwhelmed by feelings of separation from Krishna, sat down on the bank of the Yamuna and began praying for his audience and singing his glories. Because the gopis had dedicated their minds and very lives to Krishna, they were beside themselves with the transcendental pain of separation. But their crying, which appears like evidence of misery, actually shows their exalted state of transcendental bliss. As it is said, Yata deke Vaishnaver Vyavahara Dukkha Nishchara Janihi Se Paramananda Shuka. Quote, whenever one sees a Vaishnav acting unhappy, one should know it for sure that he is actually experiencing the highest spiritual bliss. End quote. Thus, each of the gopis began addressing Lord Sri Krishna according to her individual mode of ecstasy, and they all prayed for him for his mercy. As the pastimes of Krishna spontaneously arose in the minds of the gopis, they sang their song, which relieves the agony of those suffering from the burning pain of separation from Krishna, and which bestows supreme auspiciousness. They sang, quote, O Lord, O lover, O cheater, when we remember your smile, your loving glances, and your pastimes with your boyhood friends, we become extremely agitated. Remembering your lotus face adorned with locks of blackish hair smeared with the dust of the cows, we become irrevocably attached to you. And when we remember how you followed the cows from forest to forest with your tender feet, we feel great pain. End quote. In their separation from Krishna, the gopis considered a single moment an entire age. Even when they had previously seen him, they had found the blinking of their eyelids intolerable, for it blocked their vision of him for a fraction of a second. The ecstatic sentiments for Lord Krishna that the gopis expressed may appear like symptoms of lust, but in reality they are manifestations of their pure desire to satisfy the Supreme Lord's spiritual senses. There is not even the slightest trace of lust in these moods of the gopis. Text 1. The gopis said, O beloved, your birth in the land of Vraja has made it exceedingly glorious, and thus Indira, the goddess of fortune, always resides here. It is only for your sake that we, your devoted servants, maintain our lives. We have been searching everywhere for you, so please show yourself to us. Purport. For those who are familiar with the art of chanting Sanskrit verses, they will be able to appreciate the especially exquisite Sanskrit poetry of this chapter. Specifically, the poetic meter of the verses is extraordinarily beautiful, and also, for the most part, in each line the first and seventh syllables begin with the same consonant as do the second syllables of all 4 lines. Text 2. O Lord of love, in beauty your glance excels the whorl of the finest, most perfectly formed lotus within the autumn pond. O bestower of benedictions, you are killing the maidservants who have given themselves to you freely, without any price. Is this murder? Purport. In the autumn season, the whorl of the lotus has a special beauty, but that unique loveliness is surpassed by the beauty of Krishna's glance. Text 3. O greatest of personalities, you have repeatedly saved us from all kinds of danger, from poisoned water, from the terrible man-eater Aga, from the great rains, from the wind demon, from the fiery thunderbolt of Indra, from the bull demon, and from the son of Mayadanava. Purport. Here, the gopis imply, quote, O Krishna, you saved us from so many terrible dangers, so now that we are dying of separation from you, won't you save us again? End quote. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the gopis mention Arista and Vyoma because, although Krishna had not yet killed these demons, in fact, the fact that he would kill them in the future was well known, having been predicted by the sages Garga and Bogari at the time of the Lord's birth. Text 4. You are not actually the son of the gopi Yashoda, O friend, but rather the indwelling witness in the hearts of all embodied souls. Because Lord Brahma prayed to you to come and protect the universe, you have now appeared in the Satvata dynasty. Purport. The gopis here implied, quote, since you have descended to protect the entire universe, how can you neglect your own devotees? End quote. Text 5. O best of the Vrishnis, your lotus-like hand, which holds the hand of the goddess of fortune, grants fearlessness to those who approach your feet out of fear of material existence. O lover, please place that wish-fulfilling lotus hand on our heads. Text 6. O you who destroy the suffering of Vraja people, O hero of all women, your smile shatters the false pride of your devotees. Please, dear friend, accept us as your maidservants and show us your beautiful lotus face. Text 7. Your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all embodied souls who surrender to them. Those feet follow after the cows in the pasture and are the eternal abode of the goddess of fortune. Since you once put those feet on the hoods of the great serpent Kaliya, please place them upon our breasts and tear away the lust in our hearts. Purport. In their appeal, the gopis point out that Lord Krishna's lotus feet destroy the sins of all surrendered conditioned souls. The Lord is so merciful that he even goes out to herd the cows in the pasturing grounds, and thus his lotus feet follow them about in the grass. He has offered his lotus feet to the goddess of fortune and has placed them upon the hoods of the serpent Kaliya. Therefore, considering all this, the Lord should place his lotus feet on the gopis' breasts and satisfy their desire. That is the logic the gopis employ here. Text 8. O lotus-eyed one, your sweet voice and charming words, which attract the minds of the intelligent, are bewildering us more and more. Our dear hero, please revive your maidservants with the nectar of your lips. Text 9. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul for those suffering in this material world. Those narrations transmitted by learned sages eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. Purport. King Prataparudra recited this verse to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra festival. While the Lord was resting in a garden, King Prataparudra humbly entered and began massaging his legs and lotus feet. Then the king recited the 31st chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Songs of the Gopis. The Chaitanya Charitamrita relates that when Lord Chaitanya heard this verse, beginning Tava Katamritam, he immediately rose in ecstatic love and embraced King Prataparudra. The incident is described in detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 14.4 through 18, and in his edition, Srila Prabhupada has given extensive commentary on it. Text 10. Your smiles, your sweet, loving glances, the intimate pastimes and confidential talks we enjoyed with you, all these are auspicious to meditate upon, and they touch our hearts. But at the same time, O deceiver, they very much agitate our minds. Text 11. Dear Master, dear lover, when you leave the cowherd village to herd the cows, our minds are disturbed with the thought that your feet, more beautiful than a lotus, will be pricked by the spiked husks of grain and the rough grass and plants. Text 12. At the end of the day, you repeatedly show us your lotus face, covered with dark blue locks of hair and thickly powdered with dust. Thus, O hero, you arouse lusty desires in our minds. Your lotus feet, which are worshipped by Lord Brahma, fulfill the desires of all who bow down to them. They are the ornament of the earth. They give the highest satisfaction, and in times of danger they are the appropriate object of meditation. O lover, O destroyer of anxiety, please put those lotus feet upon our breasts. Text 14. O hero, kindly distribute to us the nectar of your lips, which enhances conjugal pleasure and vanquishes grief. That nectar is thoroughly relished by your vibrating flute and makes people forget any other attachment. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti's charming commentary on this verse is in the form of a dialogue between the gopis and Krishna. Quote, one gopi says, O Krishna, you exactly resemble Dhanvantari, the best of physicians. So please give us some medicine, for we are suffering from the disease of romantic desire for you. Don't hesitate to give us the medicinal nectar of your lips freely, without our paying a substantial price. Since you are a great hero in giving charity, you should give it without any payment, even to the most wretched persons. Considering that we are losing our life, and that now you can restore us to life by giving us that nectar, after all, you have already given it to your flute, which is simply a hollow bamboo stick. End quote. Krishna says, quote, but the diet of people in this world is the bad one of attachment to wealth, followers, family, and so forth. The particular medicine you've requested should not be given to those who have such a bad diet. End quote. Quote, but this medicine makes one forget all other attachments. So wonderful is this herbal drug that it counteracts bad dietary habits. Please give us that nectar, O hero, since you are most charitable. End quote. Text 15. When you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its adornment of curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish Creator. Text 16. Dear Achyuta, you know very well why we have come here. Who but a cheater like you would abandon young women who have come to see him in the middle of the night, enchanted by the loud song of his flute? Just to see you, we have completely rejected our husbands, children, ancestors, brothers, and other relatives. Text 17. Our minds are repeatedly bewildered as we think of the intimate conversations we had with you in secret, feel the rise of lust in our hearts, and remember your smiling face, your loving glances, and your broad chest, the resting place for the goddess of fortune. Thus we experience the most severe hankering for you. Text 18. O beloved, your all-auspicious appearance vanquishes the distress of those lying in Vraja's forest. Our minds long for your association. Please give to us just a bit of that medicine which counteracts the disease of your devotees' hearts. Purport. According to the Acharyas, the gopis repeatedly entreat Lord Krishna to place his lotus feet on their breasts. The gopis are not victims of material lust, but rather they are absorbed in pure love of Godhead and thus want to serve Lord Krishna's lotus feet by offering their beautiful breasts to him. Materialistic persons who are victims of mundane sex desire will not be able to understand how these conjugal dealings take place on a pure spiritual platform, and that is the materialist's great misfortune. Text 19. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. Purport. The translation of this verse is from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 4, 173. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 31st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Gopis' Songs of Separation. The following is a free-for-download audiobook available on Google Drive. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 32, The Reunion. This chapter describes how Sri Krishna manifested himself in the midst of the gopis, who had become extremely disturbed by their separation from him. After he consoled them, they expressed to him their deep feelings of ecstasy. The gopis, having shown in various ways their great eagerness to see Krishna, the attractor of Cupid, he appeared before them wearing yellow silken garments and a beautiful flower garland. Some of the gopis, overwhelmed with ecstasy at seeing him, grasped his hands, and others placed his arm on their shoulders, and others accepted the remnants of betel nut he had chewed. Thus they served him. One gopi, impelled by loving anger toward Krishna, bit her lip and looked askance at him. Because the gopis were so attached to Krishna, they were not satiated even by continuously gazing at him. One of them then placed Krishna within her heart, closed her eyes, and embracing him within herself again and again, became absorbed in transcendental bliss, just like a yogi. In this way, the pain the gopis had felt because of separation from the Lord was dispelled. Next, Lord Krishna went to the bank of the Yamuna in the company of the cowherd girls, his internal potencies. The gopis then made a seat for Krishna out of their shawls, and after he had sat down, they enjoyed with him by gesturing amorously. The gopis still felt hurt that Krishna had disappeared, so he explained to them why he had done so. He further told them that he had come under the exclusive control of their loving devotion and would ever remain indebted to them. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, "O king, having thus spoken and sung their hearts out in various charming ways, the gopis began to weep loudly. They were very eager to see Lord Krishna." Text 2. Then Lord Krishna, a smile on his lotus face, appeared before the gopis. Wearing a garland and a yellow garment, he directly appeared as one who can bewilder the mind of Cupid, who himself bewilders the minds of ordinary people. Text 3. When the gopis saw that their dearmost Krishna had returned to them, they all stood up at once, and out of their affection for him, their eyes bloomed wide. It was as if the air of life had re-entered their bodies. Text 4. One gopi joyfully took Krishna's hand between her folded palms, and another placed his arm anointed with sandalwood paste on her shoulder. Text 5. A slender gopi respectfully took in her joined hands the betel nut he had chewed, and another gopi, burning with desire, put his lotus feet on her breasts. Text 6. One gopi, beside herself with loving anger, bit her lips and stared at him with frowning eyebrows, as if to wound him with her harsh glances. Text 7. Another gopi looked with unblinking eyes upon his lotus face, but even after deeply relishing its sweetness, she did not feel satiated, just as mystic saints are never satiated when meditating upon the Lord's feet. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the analogy given here of saintly persons meditating upon the Lord's feet is only partially applicable, since the ecstasy the gopis felt when Krishna came back was actually unparalleled. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also reveals that this particular gopi is the most fortunate of all, Srimati Radharani. Text 8. One gopi took the Lord through the aperture of her eyes and placed him within her heart. Then, with her eyes closed and her bodily hairs standing on end, she continuously embraced him within. Thus immersed in transcendental ecstasy, she resembled a yogi meditating upon the Lord. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that the 7 gopis mentioned so far in this chapter are the first 7 of the 8 principal gopis, whose status allowed them to immediately approach Sri Krishna upon his reappearance. The Acharya quotes a verse from the Sri Vaishnava Toshni that give the names of the 7 as Chandravali, Shyamala, Shaibya, Padma, Sri Radha, Lalita, and Vishaka. The 8th is understood to be Bhadra. Sri Vaishnava Toshni itself quotes a verse from the Skanda Purana that declares these 8 gopis to be the principal among the 3 billion gopis. Detailed information about the hierarchy of gopis is available in Srila Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani. The Padma Purana confirms that Sri Radha is the foremost of the gopis. Yata Radha Priyas Vishnos Taya Tasya Kundam Priyatata Sarva Gopishu Saiva Vaika Vishnur Atyanta Vallabha. Quote, just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Krishna, her bathing pond is similarly dear. Of all the gopis, she is the most beloved of the Lord. End quote. The Brihad Gautamiya Tantra also names Srimati Radharani as Krishna's foremost consort. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Maya Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. Quote, the transcendental goddess Srimati Radharani is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord, end quote. This translation is Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 483. Additional information about Sri Radha is given in the Rig Padishista, a supplement to the Rig Veda. Radhaya Madhavo Devao Madhave Naiva Radhika Vibrajante Janesu. Quote, among all persons, it is Sri Radha in whose company Lord Madhava is specially glorious, as she is especially glorious in his, end quote. Text 9. The gopis enjoyed the greatest festivity when they saw their beloved Keshava again. They gave up the distress of separation, just as people in general forget their misery when they gain the association of a spiritually enlightened person. Text 10. Encircled by the gopis, who were now relieved of all distress, Lord Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, shone forth splendidly. My dear king, Krishna thus appeared like the supersoul encircled by his spiritual potencies. Purport. The gopis are Lord Krishna's internal potency, and therefore when they were relieved and happy again, the Lord shone forth even more brilliantly than before, and his transcendental bliss increased. Krishna loved the gopis with pure transcendental love, and they love him in the same pure way. The whole affair, conducted on the transcendental platform, is inconceivable to those bound in material existence. Text 11 and 12. The Almighty Lord then took the gopis with him to the bank of the Kalindi, and who, with the hands of her waves, had scattered piles of soft sand upon the shore. In that auspicious place, the breeze, bearing the fragrance of blooming kunda and mandara flowers, attracted many bees, and the abundant rays of the autumn moon dispelled the darkness of night. Text 13. Their heartache vanquished by the ecstasy of seeing Krishna, the gopis, like the personified Vedas before them, felt their desires completely fulfilled. For their dear friend, Krishna, they arranged a seat with their shawls, which were smeared with the kumkum powder from their breasts. Purport. In the 87th canto of this chapter of this canto, text 23, the Shrutis, or personified Vedas, pray as follows. Striya Uru Gendra Boga Bunja Danda Vishakta Shdiyo Vayam Api Te Sama Samadrisho Nrigri Saroja Sudha. Quote, these women fully absorb their minds in meditation on Lord Krishna's powerful arms, which are like the bodies of great serpents. We want to become just like the gopis and render service to his lotus feet. End quote. The Shrutis had seen Krishna during his appearance in the previous day of Brahma and had become full of the most intense desire to associate with him. Then, in this kalpa, they became gopis. And since the Vedas are eternal in human society, the Shrutis in this kalpa also become full of desire for Krishna, and in the next kalpa they also become gopis. This information is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Text 14. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whom the great masters of mystic meditation arrange a seat within their hearts, took his seat in the assembly of gopis. His transcendental body, the exclusive abode of beauty and opulence within the three worlds, shone brilliantly as the gopis worshipped him. Purport. The masters of mystic meditation include Lord Shiva, Ananta Shesh, and all other exalted personalities, all of whom keep the Lord seated within the lotus of their hearts. This same Lord, conquered by the intense, selfless love of the gopis, agreed to become their boyfriend and dance with them in Vrindavan after sitting upon their fragrant shawls on the bank of the Yamuna River. Text 15. Sri Krishna had awakened romantic desires within the gopis, and they honored him by glancing at him with playful smiles, gesturing amorously with their eyebrows, and massaging his hands and feet as they held them in their laps. Even while worshipping him, however, they felt somewhat angry, and thus they addressed him as follows. Text 16. The gopis said, "Some people reciprocate the affection only of those who are affectionate toward them, while others show affection even to those who are indifferent or inimical, and yet others do not show affection toward anyone. Dear Krishna, please properly explain this matter to us." Purport. By this apparently polite question, the gopis want to expose Lord Krishna's failure to properly reciprocate their love. They were very disturbed when Sri Krishna left them in the forest, and they want to know why he caused them to suffer in these loving affairs. Text 17. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "So-called friends who show affection only for each other to benefit themselves are actually selfish. They have no true friendship, nor are they following the true principle of religion. Indeed, if they did not expect benefit for themselves, they would not reciprocate." Purport. The Lord here reminds the gopis that in pure loving friendship there is no sense of selfish interest, but rather only love for one's friend. Text 18. My dear slender-waisted gopis, some people are genuinely merciful, or, like parents, naturally affectionate. Such persons who devotedly serve even those who fail to reciprocate with them are following the true, faultless path of religion, and they are true well-wishers. Text 19. Then there are those individuals who are spiritually self-satisfied, mutually fulfilled, or by nature ungrateful or simply envious of superiors. Such persons will not love even those who love them, what to speak of those who are inimical. Purport. Some people, being spiritually self-satisfied, do not reciprocate others' affection because they want to avoid entanglement in mundane dealings. Other persons do not reciprocate simply out of envy or arrogance, and still others fail to reciprocate because they are materially satisfied and thus uninterested in new material opportunities. Lord Krishna patiently explains all these things to the gopis. Text 20. But the reason I did not immediately reciprocate the affection of living beings, even when they worship me, O gopis, is that I want to intensify their loving devotion. They then become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it, and who thus becomes so anxious that he can think of nothing else. Purport. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Quote, as people approach me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. End quote. Even if the Lord is approached by someone with devotion, to intensify the devotee's love, the Lord may not immediately reciprocate fully. In fact, the Lord is truly reciprocating. After all, a sincere devotee always prays to the Lord, quote, please help me to love you purely, end quote. Therefore, the Lord's so-called neglect is actually the fulfillment of the devotee's prayer. Lord Krishna intensifies our love for him by apparently separating himself from us, and the result is that we achieve what we really wanted and prayed for, intense love for the absolute truth, Krishna. Thus, Lord Krishna's apparent negligence is actually his thoughtful reciprocation and the fulfillment of our deepest and purest desire. According to the Acharyas, as Lord Krishna began to speak this verse, the gopis looked at one another with squinting eyes, trying to hide the smiles breaking out on their faces. Even as Lord Krishna was speaking, the gopis had begun to realize that he was bringing them to the highest perfection of loving service. Text 21. My dear girls, understanding that simply for my sake you had rejected the authority of worldly opinion, of the Vedas, and of your relatives, I acted as I did only to increase your attachment to me. Even when I removed myself from your sight by suddenly disappearing, I never stopped loving you. Therefore, my beloved gopis, please do not harbor any bad feelings toward me, your beloved. Purport. Here the Lord indicates that although the gopis were already perfect in their love for him, still to inconceivably increase their perfection, he show an example for the world, he acted as he did. Text 22. I am not able to repay my debt for your
Jai Radhe Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Jai Radhe Jai Radha Lalita Vishak Jai Radhe Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Gaurani Jai Gaurani Gaurani Jai Gaurani Yashoda Maya Dhira Damodara Jaya Shantam Shiva Jaya Shantam Jaya Shantam Jaya Giri Rajaya Giri Govardhan Deity, God bless Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Nithai Gora Hariva Hariva Nithai Gora Hariva Nithai Gora Hariva Krishna Radha, Krishna Krishna, Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishna Shri Mate Bhakti Dhira Swami Namaste Saraswati Deva Goravani Prabhavina Deva Sasha Sodavadi Kastaka Satari Namaste Saraswati Deva Goravani Prabhavina Shesha Sodavadi Saraswati Satari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shriya Traita Prabhu Shri Krishna Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Jai Bhagavad Raja
Hari Shubhi Dosta Bihari Andra Shumati Shita Hari Andra Shumati Yes. Thank you.
I don't know because I just made it and I didn't even change the cover just from the blender itself. I just put it in ice, but it needs to be a bit more chilled, Maharaj. Hope you like it. I put 3 dates and a bit of honey. Yes, there's dates, there's honey, there's peanut butter. Try and see. Cinnamon, cashew nut, milk, almond milk. It's become too thick, is it? And a little bit of honey. Too many things. Are they? Peanut butter is coming out nicely. It's good peanut butter, good quality. But Maharaj, I'm trying next week to be earlier, much earlier. It's okay, Maharaj? Okay, I was worried. So Maharaj, I will see you. Thank you so much. It was so nice listening to the story that was going on. It was so sweet and meditative and peaceful and calm, and you were arranging the Lords, and so nice that we sang Bhagavati together. It was nice. I'm glad. Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is what you are missing.
Pardon?
This is what you are missing.
I know. Yes, I can see.
Hare Krishna. Sweet devotees.
Don't enjoy so much.
Thank you, Seva. Very much. Let's see what is there today.
Jai! Beautiful.
Thank you for the darshan, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Vrindavan opulence.
This is Brenda Nikunj.
Yeah.
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Brenda Nikunj.
Olha, Gurangue, vem cá, para de reclamar.
Aqui meu grupo acabou.
All right, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you,
Thank you
Guruji.
so much.
See
Thanks
you
for
later.
everything.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.